The objective is fairly straightforward to list some of the unmet needs with standard half-life product and review the safety and efficacy data on the extended half-life Adynovate with regard its pharmacokinetic efficacy in terms of surgery, and of course, overall safety, which is extremely important in many of these products. Lastly, we will have a quick look at my PK effect. We know that all of our patients should be on prophylaxis, and all the studies have proven benefits of prophylaxis. But the bottom line, despite us accepting prophylaxis as a standard of care, these are still actually unmet needs associated with the use of standard half-life in the context of prophylaxis. Patients still do have breakthrough bleeds or subclinical bleeds, still need hospitalization and ER visits, still suffer from hemorrhages, still having activity restriction, psychological impact, and still have more lost days from school and work. The other unmet needs of a standard half-life product, we need to give it on a regular basis to raise baseline factor levels to a level that we actually believe to be protective. In order to do that effectively, large number of injections have to be given. By calculating patient very compliant without calculating the breakthrough bleed, we can reach up to 160 intravenous injection per year. That's equal to 3 injections per week. And that's a quite large number, and you will all agree with me, this carries a very high treatment burdens. It is in the context of unmet needs associated with the standard half-life product, we have the evolution of half-life came into the extended half-life product, in part noted in the 3rd edition of the World Federation Hemophilia Guidelines in the management of hemophilia patients. In fact, the guidelines came with a new standard of care, which is stated clearly is recommended therapeutic modality over episodic therapy, and in the extent of in the context of extended half-life are beneficial prophylaxis due to of those reasons which are currently unmet need, that with extended half-life one is able to reduce the frequency of injection, and consequently one is able to reduce the burden of treatment. One injection as compared to the 3 injection to achieve that same trough level that is protective. Also able to raise the trough level to offer better protection for the patients who are likely to get breakthrough bleeds. Now we will move on to take a look at the pharmacokinetic and regulation of Adynovate. Let's first start summarizing the PK and half-life properties that have been demonstrated in previous trials. And the most important parameter here is the half-life shown in the red here for BAX855 compared to Adynovate, which is a standard half-life product showed in gray. You can see the difference in half-life is huge, indicating that there is pharmacokinetic benefits for maintaining and achieving the target factor level. You can see extended half-life of BAX855 compared with Adynovate demonstrated that the half-life of Adynovate were extended by approximately 1.4 to 1.5 fold. And the mean factor 8 blood exposure area under the care for Adynovate is 1.9 higher compared to Adynovate. In summary, 2 main technologies have allowed us to have the extended half-life product that includes the fusion technology and the pegylation technology. Fusion technology have been applied to clotting factor 8 and 9 using both FC fusion and albumin fusion. The pegylation technology have several approaches: site-directed pegylation, controlled pegylation, and glycopegylation. We know that the pegylation extended the half-life, and some of the mechanism how it decreased the glomerular filtration rate, not being filtered easily through the urinary system. The second mechanism is the receptor-mediated clearance, which is decreased as a result of big molecule being attached to the clotting factor. And the final one, big molecules seem to be shielding clotting factor from proteolytic degradation, and therefore normal breakdown of this protein in fact slow down. Some cases in fact stopped completely. Again, taking a look at the WFH recommendation for patients with hemophilia A or B, there is no evidence of any clinical safety issues in person with hemophilia to recommend a preference among the various mechanisms of action. Pegylation versus FC fusion or albumin fusion used to extend the half-life of clotting factor concentrate. For a pegylated product in general, it's important to know that if big molecule was large size, more than 30 kilodalton, it will exhibit slow renal elimination and will have greater potential to accumulate in the cell. EMA review of animal study document that evacuation with big exposure was documented under certain conditions. Most important, if pig size was more than 40 kilodalton, and if the monthly exposure to pig was more than 0.4 micromillimole. So this tells us, in fact, that the dosing prophylaxis regimen study of twice weekly dose or the daily dose for a limited duration in the surgery study, the monthly pig exposure with Adynovate is more than 100-fold below risk threshold for evacuation. Now I will share with you some data about the efficacy when extended half-life factor 8, BAX 855 used in peri-surgical setting to control bleed in severe hemophilia patients. This is a phase 3 surgery, multi-center open label study, evaluate the hemostatic efficacy and safety of BAX 855 for perioperative hemostatic patient in previously treated patients with severe hemophilia. It was carried out in 11 sites in 7 countries. And inclusion criteria, it was for severe hemophilia patient participated or had completed previous studies or were newly recruited, and for pediatric patients less than 12 years of age required to have been previously treated with Adynovate or in pediatric continuation. Those patients requiring minor and major elective surgery or minor emergency surgical procedure. Elective procedures were prospectively classified as major or minor. We are looking here at 21 surgical procedures, including 11 major surgery and 4 minor procedures. A total of 15 out of 17 recruited patients. 5 subjects were previously treated with Adynovate in patient study, and 12 subjects were newly recruited and they were Adynovate naive. The aim of loading dose preoperative was to raise the factor 8 level to 100% for major surgery and 30 to 60% for minor surgery. The dose and frequency of Adynovate administered perioperatively were to be guided by each patient pharmacokinetic profile for major surgery. During the conduct of all these surgical procedures, there were no requirement of for intraoperative injection. Essentially, the patient can get perioperative dose and to be followed up in recovery environment where he will have his next dose, could be considered. Daily weight adjusted consumption of the Adynovate decreased from post-operative day 1 to discharge for major surgery, consistent with the decrease in factor VIII trough level, which were close to required 80% during the first 72 hours in post-operatively, and 50% from post-operatively day 4 to 7, but below the required 30% after post-operative day 8 until discharge. What about hemostatic efficacy? Hemostatic efficacy was evaluated using a predefined scale. Blood loss was compared to the expected average and maximum blood loss for the type of procedure performed in non-hemophilic population. The overall intra and perioperative hemostatic efficacy of rureoctocog alpha pigol was excellent in all 15 subjects, 100%. Post-operative day 1 efficacy was rated excellent for 13 procedures, which is about 87% of all surgery, except for one minor dental procedure, which was rated good, and was up to 50% more than expected for this type of procedure. None of the subject exposed to Adynovate for perioperative control of hemostasis experienced serious adverse events or severe allergic reaction or thrombotic event. None of the subject developed inhibitory antibodies to factor VIII or persistent binding antibodies to factor VIII, BAX855 or PIG. There were no binding antibody to Chinese hamster ovary proteins observed. So in summary, for the procedure included intraoperative and postoperative and perioperative efficacy were rated excellent for all procedures except for one minor dental procedure, which received a post-operative rating of good. These results demonstrated that BAX855 is safe and hemostatic effective in patients with severe hemophilia A undergoing surgery, and importantly, no product-rated adverse event and no sign of immunogenicity were reported in the clinical trial. Moving on to the long safety and efficacy data. This is a phase 3 continuational prospective open-label multi-center study in 216 children and adults with severe hemophilia, aimed to evaluate long-term safety and efficacy of Adynovate for treatment and prophylaxis in previously treated children and adults. Most patients has participated in previous Adynovate study, and 187 patients completed the study. So they received prophylaxis with Adynovate in fixed dose prophylaxis twice weekly or less frequent every 5 days or 7 days, or pharmacokinetic tailored dose regimen. The primary endpoint was the incidence of confirmed factor VIII inhibitory antibody development, spontaneous and generalized bleeding. And second endpoint, overall hemostatic efficacy, occurrence of adverse event, and health-related quality of life. Overall, overall protective effects of bleeding episode were generally consistent with cross patients who received prophylactic alpha using fixed doses or kinetic dosing. Observed high quality of life, including movement from baseline in pain and mental well-being. Some patients could be switched to schedule one infusion every 5 days. Patients aged than 12 years, the fixed twice doses who had no continuous need for 6 months are allowed to switch to fixed doses regime every 5 days and every 7 days. And they continue to have spontaneous bleed for have zero spontaneous bleed for a further 6 months. In terms of safety, we will see that Adynovate was well tolerated and pegylation did not influence product safety. New safety concerns were identified in the evaluation value and vital sign over time with the use of 855. None of those factors in this, there are serious adverse event or allergic reaction related to the use of 85 this. Now we move to the Adynovate, my PK fit, an application to personalize hemophilia treatment. Of current and unmet needs, prophylaxis after 8 level with one size approach standard of care, but patients suffer. This approach is not consideration lifestyle of our can lead to underdosing and prophylaxis that may not prevent synovitis that lead to arthropathy or overdosing. Now, time change. We can individualize and personalize replace P. There we can meet the patient with your need, and he can approach almost taking consideration factors like PK, pharmacokinetic response, physical activity and lifestyle, patient and adherence, genetic and bleed and joint status. Use of extended life and personalized, individualized peak profile may benefits by reducing burden while maintaining or improving efficacy. PK, it's pharmacokinetic dosing software where patient by facilitate pharmacokinetic guided optimal dosing and patient self-management. Treatment, bleeding, factor, real time. More details and information about, and I think it will be soon So, in conclusion, Adynovate is safe and effective treating bleeding episodes and for prophylaxis administered twice weekly, low and safe data for prophylaxis using Adynovate with and without PK guidance. There's a flexibility in dosing according to patient response per continuation study. Safe and effective for perioperative management. No related adverse event, no related serious adverse events. There is no sign of immunogenicity, no effect of factor VIII pegylation on product safety. Frequent dosing could enable shorter hospital stay, improve rehabilitation, and reduce cost. Thank you very much for your attention, and I'm happy to take questions.